Welcome to Jets Overtime. We're presented by Sirius XM. Eric Allen and Quincy Enunwa. Friday for the New York Jets. They fall to the Miami Dolphins by a 34-13 count. Q, we got to go back to that sequence at the end of the first half that kind of symbolized what has been going on here for the Jets of late. They get back into the game. Brandon Eckles has a pick six. And then the very next year, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa intercepted by DJ Reed. That sets up a Hail Mary. Hail Mary from Tim Boyle, intercepted by Javon Holland. He takes it all the way, 99 yards the other way. And it's a 16-7 game at halftime as opposed to 10-6, and you're going into half and you got some momentum.
Right, exactly. You said it yourself. Got some momentum. You didn't get an opportunity to really take in that feeling, that joy that you had from that pick six. Immediately you go out there, there's an interception, you get another opportunity, a little bit more of a momentum boost, a little bit more morale boost. You know, this is what this team needed. And then you go out there following after this, and you throw a pick six. And a pick six on a Hail Mary, that really takes the wind out of your sails, right? Because you're giving yourself an opportunity to score a touchdown possibly, right? He got the ball all the way towards the end zone, and there was nobody there to cover. They made a little bit of a conversation during the interviews afterwards, talking about you got to have some guys covering. A lot of times you'll have somebody kind of short, you know, just in case the ball gets tipped to catch it. There was nobody there, you know, just kind of a symbol of this Jets team as a whole, right? You keep looking at this team, you're hoping that there's something that'll come out there and be successful for them, and something like this happens. You know, that's not something that happens often, right? You don't usually see this. You might get the interception, but then to take it back 99 yards, nobody there to protect you, just not a great showing.
Man, here it is. So break it down, because your receiver has been in that situation before. Right before the half, it's 10-6.
Yep.
Timmy Boyle puts that ball out there.
So you saw Garrett Wilson running over there. That's supposed to be the guy that'll catch the tip. And he's one of the guys that came in at the end. You'll see him almost in for the tackle. But, you know, you just need guys having maybe a little bit more effort, obviously. It's just a tough situation to be, because once those receivers are in the end zone, that's all your skill players. Now you'll just have offensive linemen. And they're supposed to fan out, right? But those guys don't play punt team. And they don't actually know their lanes. They don't know where they're supposed to be. They're just going for the ball. You can practice it as many times as possible, but it's got to be practiced almost daily, and that's not something you're thinking about. You're not thinking about Hail Mary daily. It's really only something you do Friday for walkthrough. And those guys don't know, okay, I need to fan out, I need to get in my lanes, make it a little bit more challenging. And so obviously when something like that happens, your skill players in the end zone, it's just going to be
the
bad.
final at MetLife Stadium today, 34-13 for the Dolphins. But again, we go back to, I know a lot of fans are calling it the Hail Mary as opposed to the Hail Mary, but Robert Saleh, that's the right decision there.
Yeah.
You definitely, we've seen that thousands of times.
Right.
You just don't see that in the National Football League. You don't see it in college football. You hardly ever see it in high school football. I've never seen it before. Yeah. With that being said, one thing that we talked about before we came on the air is typically you have a guy who's the short person in that play, right? As a receiver, like, because you got to tip it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like I said, you saw Garrett Wilson there. He was in the position for it. Obviously, he was running. It's just such a hard play. Like, it never looks the way it's drawn up. Usually, you go out there, you think everybody's going to be waiting, but you don't even have time because the quarterback's trying to move from the rush, so he doesn't have opportunity to set up, let guys get into position, and then throw it there. So a lot of guys are still running to the end zone. So it's really just a scramble. You got guys all over the place. Nobody's in the position they're supposed to be, and that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, you also had Garrett Wilson, who was supposed to be the short guy in case he got tipped, running across because he was still trying to chase the ball. So when you're going the opposite direction from where the DB is going, it's a hard ask for you to then turn around and get to him. He tried, but it just wasn't available.
A lot to get to here on Jets Overtime, but let's go back to MetLife Stadium right now. And here's Caroline Hendershot and Jets quarterback Tim Boyle.
Here with quarterback Tim Boyle. Tim, why do you think the offense struggled finding a rhythm early today in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that getting the run game, the pass game going, complementing each other, we couldn't get that going. I think self-inflicted wounds got us again early on, a couple false starts. But, I mean, the name of the game is offense is scoring points. We didn't do that. And it's unfortunate what happened right before the half. I mean, we got momentum, and defense got points for us, which is awesome. And throw a pick six on a Hail Mary. I've never seen it happen before, but we got to clean those kind of things up because those will bite you. But I think we fought. I think we battled. I'm really proud of the guys. I think the offensive line did a really good job, meshing on a short week, and 6 more weeks pushing forward.
You mentioned that short week. Do you feel like there was a little bit of a settling in period, not only for you, it was your first start, but also that offensive line coming off that short week, another combination for them? Do you think that had anything to factor in today?
Yeah, I think on a short week it's always tough. I think the coaches did a good job of taking care of our bodies. We did a lot of walkthrough reps, so I think the mental side of things, we were fine, we were crisp. But when you go against a really good defense like that, on a short week, only one real practice, and it wasn't padded. It's tough to kind of get going. They have a really good front. Unfortunately, what happened to 15? They were late in the game. He's a hell of a player, but short weeks are always tough. But there's no excuses. We got to come through, and we got to succeed, and we got to score points.
At the beginning of the fourth, you guys seemed to find that rhythm with the faster tempo. Do you think it was the faster tempo that helped you find the rhythm, or you guys just started to find your groove there?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of when you go up tempo, it kind of gets the defense in some base calls. So I was able to kind of see the defense, and they do a good job disguising. They have 2 really good safeties, 2 really good corners, and their linebackers are savvy. They know what they're doing. So I was able to get into some simple coverages because we were on the ball so much and able to get some completions. So I think that's a part of our offense that we probably have to lean in, to a little bit more and try to get into some no huddle. But that's up to the coaches to decide. But I think, I enjoy it. I think our offense does a decent job moving the ball when we're in no huddle. So I think we should, continue to do that.
Last one for you. How do you guys take this game and build on it going forward as you guys have another game coming up next Sunday at home?
Yeah, I think we need to build on the things that we did well tonight. I think our intermediate pass game was pretty good. I think we ran the ball. Some of our big people runs, 21 personnels, we did a good job. We just need to run the ball effectively, and that's going to open some play pass up, which we can get some shots and ultimately get some points. So I think the fact that we scored a touchdown, you'd be kind of in that lull for a little while. I know we scored last week in Buffalo, but it's always good to score points in the red zone, especially. That's something to build on for us.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, Tim.
4 consecutive losses for the New York Jets. Today's final was 34-13. As far as the discrepancies are concerned, the Miami Dolphins today rushed the ball 37 times for 167 yards, averaging 4.5 yards a carry. The Jets, conversely, just 10 attempts, 29 yards, averaging 2.9 yards a carry. We just heard from Tim Boyle today in his first start for the Jets, 27-38 for 179 yards. He had the 1 late touchdown to Garrett Wilson and 2 interceptions. The Dolphins did a lot of damage on 3rd down. Let's go back to MetLife. Here's Ethan Greenberg and Anthony Beck.
Final score here at MetLife, 34-13, Dolphins over the Jets. Let's start at the end of the first half, Anthony. Real momentum swing. The Jets get momentum with the Brandon Eckles pick 6. Jets get another interception, but then it's Javon Holland scoring on a failed Hail Mary attempt for the Dolphins.
Yeah, really unbelievable. I mean, you talk about you get a lift, and all of a sudden, in just a snap of a finger, it turns for the worse for you. Listen, somebody's got to make that tackle, find a way to get that guy down 100 yards. It really did set the tempo for the second half of this football team, where you felt like at that point when Eckles scored, you're like, okay, we got a shot here. They're in it. Hadn't gone great on offense. You go 5 possessions, 5 punts, and then you get that interception for a touchdown. So, right now I think the biggest thing for this football team is they got to figure out how to come out in the first half offensively and have some type of success. And right now it's been the challenge every single week. New quarterback, swinging line. I get it. All that's great, but those 15, 20 snaps have to be much better. Right now, there's no momentum, and unfortunately for the defense, they can't hold up for 4 quarters of football on their side.
And then for the Jets defense, a little bit of an uncharacteristic performance with 2 receivers going over 100 yards. But how much do you put on this type of performance on the lack of complementary football?
Yeah, well, they held 2 under 250 yards, which is a big deal. But I think in general, when you really look at this football team, they got weapons on the Dolphins side. You knew they were going to make plays. And if you're not generating offense and moving the sticks, defense is right back on the field again, right? So it's tough to come out. It's cold. All these things are going on. And McDaniel obviously has a great game plan. He's got his quarterback this year. Didn't have 2 in the last games prior to last season. And you can tell they just got playmakers. They ran the ball effectively today. I thought that was where they leaned on it. And then offensively, when they're throwing the football, just too many guys, the movement, the motions, the things that they do to get the ball out of their hands quickly and make plays, they're really good with those quick receivers.
The Jets were playing the Dolphins on a short week. Now they have a little bit of a mini bye before playing the Atlanta Falcons right here next Sunday.
Let's go back to a flashback for you. That's week 15 of the 2021 season. Brandon Eckles taking it to the house against the Miami Dolphins and Tua. Fast forward to Sunday or Friday, Black Friday at MetLife Stadium. Brandon Eckles said, "Hey Tua, what's up one more time? Another house call, Q."
Right back at you.
Let's get into Telestration, powered by Microsoft Surface. How did it happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a great series of events for the defense right here, right? So you're going to have Brandon Eckles playing some really great coverage. To be honest with you, first off, I want to show you the routes, right? So you have this here, and then you have this here with a sit coming here. So if I'm being honest, and we have the flat here, if I'm being honest, I think that he should have thrown this route to Tyreek Hill at the bottom. But you know, who cares? You know, as a Jets guy, I want this type of things to happen all the time. So we got Brandon Eckles down here. Great play by the defense, right? Staying on your man. Nothing too specific, honestly, right? He's just in the right position, and that's what you want to see from the defense. Being in the right position at all times, undercutting this play. Once you undercut an out route, it's just you in the end zone. That's all you really cared about right here. So, again, right, like I said, he probably could have thrown this to Tyreek. He had some space right here. This probably could have been the spot that he could have gone to. He chose to take it to Eckles. Eckles says, "Thank you for another one. I hope you remember me from last time."
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 career pick sixes coming against the same Miami Dolphins quarterback. The Jets defense today, 3 takeaways, and they scored a touchdown. Not only did they score a touchdown, but they totally took momentum after Eckles pick 6 because DJ Reed gets into the act.
Right back with another one. And this one I like better, right? Because you saw this kind of a little bit. They're running a mesh play here. So a mesh, again, is something like this, right? You're going to have some guys trying to pick guys off. We saw this with the Raiders, and Sauce made a great play on that one. Here, DJ Reed makes an even better play. I mean, just a great athletic play here from DJ Reed, undercutting the play. I'm just showing you guys here first, and then we're going to look at the other side just to see how technically sound it is, right? So look at this, man.
Wow.
Just coming in, snatching it from him. Great play right here, right? Because that's hard even as a receiver when you have somebody on you like that. He's falling. It's a great play by him, and he deserves to celebrate as he does because, I mean, listen, man. They pay this guy money, and he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Go ahead, throw it in the air because you're balling, man.
Yeah, the Jets defense certainly did make some big plays today. Tyreek Hill got his over 100 yards receiving. Jalen Waddle over 100 yards receiving. But the star of the game for the Jets, I know they lost by 21 points. You got to give Brandon Eckles props. Ethan Greenberg talked to him after the game.
Here with Brandon Eckles. Brandon, just from a defensive perspective, what was the most challenging part about this Dolphins offense?
You know, just handling all, you know, the different motions and different schemes that they have. It's just a complicated thing to, you know, understand. But once you start understanding it, you know, we start shutting it down.
From a nickel perspective, can you just talk about the challenges when you're shifting inside, you're shifting outside, and what are the different challenges, like you said, in terms of motion?
You know, you just got to it all comes down to film study for real. You just got to understand what you seeing and trust what you see, and once you see it, just, you know, act on it.
What did you see on that interception, the pick 6?
Just Tua sitting back, you know, trying to give me one.
Did it feel reminiscent at all from your rookie season down in Miami? Because it looked like almost the same play, just on opposite sides of the field.
Yeah, no, it did. At the spur moment when I got in the end zone, I'm like, oh, this is like the exact same play. Yeah.
So pre-snap, did you see anything, or is it just a read and react type play?
It was just react, you know, and trust my keys.
Moving on from this game, how do you flush out this performance and regroup before the home stretch here in the 2023 season?
We just got to come together. We got to unite as one. You know, talk about what we need to fix, and, you know, let's go handle business.
And what was Coach Salah's message to the team post game?
You know, this got to be the toughest 6 games that we've fought for right here.
Awesome, Brandon. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by SiriusXM. Eric Allen and Quincy Anunwa here in the Audi Performance Studio. Q, it is time for report cards. Anthony Becht is on a plane right now headed to Kansas, I believe. Is Rocco Becht, his son, is the starting signal caller for Iowa State, who finishes up their collegiate regular season tomorrow. So it's going to be me and you handling the grades. Let's put them out there. How about offensively? I went with the
Yeah, I went with a D, and I think
me as well.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like last week definitely deserved an F, and you saw the changes happen with the quarterback. Offensively this week, it looked like there was some energy there. You know, obviously you score an offensive touchdown, which hasn't been done much this year. So I had to give them a D for that. Those last two drives they had, obviously the first one ended in a pick, but this one ended in a touchdown. So they showed some life. And I think that's important, right, for this next coming week, because this was a short week. And so when you have a short week and you're able to put points on the board, knowing that you didn't get to really have full padded practices, you didn't really get to go full speed, I mean, that's encouraging for the offense. Ultimately, right, it's just not good enough, and we know that. I think everybody in the building knows that. Everybody that's a Jets fan knows that. But you got to look at what can you salvage, right? And there was some positives on the offensive side. I think they had to figure out how to carry that forward. I heard Boyle say, you know, up-tempo. You know, he mentioned that. And I think we've mentioned that a couple times. It's good to hear that the quarterback also feels that way. Maybe if they can implement that, you know, obviously the turnovers suck, the penalties, all those things kind of mess up your ability to go up tempo. But if they can just try to implement it a little bit more, I think it could be helpful.
Not much to say here. Boyle finished 27 of 38, like we mentioned before, just for the 179 yards. He got the touchdown to Garrett Wilson. It was the 10th offensive touchdown in 9 games for the Jets. Garrett Wilson targeted 10 times, 7 receptions, just 44 yards. Likewise, Breece Hall, 9 targets, 7 receptions, just 24 yards. So you know Miami was keying in on both of those guys, no doubt about that. And you really got to help your defense out, bottom line, early in games. Again, we talk about how decimated the Jets are up front. We saw that continue today. Carter Warren making the start at left tackle. Mekhi Becton couldn't go. He's dealing with the ankle injury. Hopefully Dwayne Brown returns to the lineup soon. And the Jets are giving some young guys some run at the receiver position. That namely is Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee, 2 undrafted free agents. If you told us before the year that Tim Boyle was going to start, Carter Warren was going to be your left tackle in Week 11 against the Miami Dolphins, and 2 of your top 3 targets out there as far as snap counts were concerned were 2 undrafted free agents at the receiver position, I wouldn't have believed you, bottom line. Let's get to defense. Mixed bag today, but they gave you a chance early.
No, I agree. I think they really did good. They did a good job in the first half, and so I'm not trying to penalize them for that, right? I think ultimately, like, it's just become a story where, you know, you downgrade the defense because the offense isn't doing well. You know, if I was just to individually grade the defense, obviously the grade would be much better, right? They had a few big plays, and that's always killer, right? I think explosive plays are tough, and they had a few explosive plays. You know, they had the one to Waddle. They had a couple to Tyreek Hill. You know, and I saw that, you know, the Miami Dolphins offense is just really talented. They do a good job of moving guys around. They do a good job of picking little small passes. It's a smart offense, and I appreciate what they do there. And the Jets defense really had to figure out how to stop them. And it's really hard to stop the offense like that, right? Because Tua really plays in rhythm. He finds his spots, he throws it there. The unfortunate thing for him is he throws a lot of interceptions, and the defense capitalized on that. But unfortunately, the offense wasn't able to do that. And so, you know, I downgraded these guys. I think they did well, but, you know, I just wasn't happy with the whole performance.
All right. So
and the fight.
Okay. B-, 3 takeaways, and you scored a touchdown. I can't go into the C category. 3 takeaways, and you scored a touchdown. That final touchdown that Boyle gets to Garrett Wilson comes after an Ashton Davis fumble recovery. There late in the first half, you're completely outplayed, and you're sitting there 10-6 because Brandon Eckles is waltzing into the end zone. Then you come up with an interception from DJ Reed, and I'm like, all right, the Jets have kind of steadied the ship. I think that I got to ask you this as we conclude our little report card segment. Do you think this Jets defense is just naturally wearing out late in games right now? The number that stands out to me that you didn't see early in the season, and this is an explosive Miami offense, as you articulated, Q, 11-16 on third down. That's 69%. And also, Tyreek Hill, he's in his own category. He goes over 100. He goes over 100 against everybody.
Right.
Waddle goes over 100, and Mostert did a lot of damage the second half. He nearly got 100.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, though, I think the defense did a really good job. And they did end up wearing down, right, towards the end of the second half. I think that was obviously, it's hard to really play when the other side. That's the hard thing about football, right? It's really a team sport. Like, there's not many sports that are really team sports. You really rely on the other side. And when your other side isn't doing well, it's kind of like a bad marriage, right? Like, you're married to this partner who's not really holding up their end of the bargain, and so after a while, you're getting worn down. That's kind of what happened with the defense, right? They couldn't stay in it any longer. They started to get frustrated, and that showed on the field. I think ultimately I would love for them to continue to keep level ground and hold up their side as long as possible, but that's tough to do. I can't ask for that of them, but I'm also going to have to grade them based off of that. I think they had a great first half, but unfortunately that second half they kind of just let things kind of slide away.
Q, special teams are going C. Zerline, who has been so good for you, he misses the extra point. That doesn't factor into the outcome of this game. Morstead had 6 punts. He averaged in 53 yards a punt, 3 of those down inside the 20.
Yeah.
Xavier Gibson, he had the 1 kickoff return for 26 yards.
Yeah, so I graded them a B mainly because as I was watching some of those punt returns, I saw a lot of guys kind of getting beat. Like, if Barrios could have broke 1 or 2 tackles, I think it could have got really ugly. Like the gunners weren't there. It was really tough for them he had probably about 6 yards, 7 yards on some of those punts of space before anybody got there. And that's tough. That's tough for your coverage team. I feel like maybe they could have found a way to work together more instead, maybe putting less air on it, or the gunners trying to get off those blocks. But, they knew what they were doing. They wanted to get a return going. They weren't able to. And then obviously the missed extra point, that's not great. And so, I see your C.
Okay, final takeaways here. The Jets are now 4-7. They have lost 4 consecutive games. After the bye, that was an improbable victory over the Giants.
Yeah.
This easily could be a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And I feel like we talk about the offense each and every week, but we're going to continue to talk about it until they put some points on the board and show early signs of life.
Yeah. I think final thoughts on this offense really is that I don't know if we can make a full judgment on this offense based off of this week. I would love to make one, but I think I want to see Boyle with more extended time. I don't know if it'll really make a huge difference right now. I think there's a lot of deficiencies on this offense, right? Offensive line, guys just aren't staying healthy, and then guys aren't holding up on their blocks. There were a few times actually on the defensive side where I saw them chipping Bryce Huff on a few plays. Like, I would love for the Jets to kind of implement some of those things more, motioning a little bit more. It's hard to really change your identity at this point. I think their identity is not those things, so it really kind of hampers their offense, right? They need a little bit more. They need somebody that can kind of fix the offense while they're on the field, which is why I can see why they needed Aaron Rodgers out there, but you don't have Aaron Rodgers at this point. So there needs to be some way to kind of flip the script and figure out how you can play and perform as an offense and put some points on the board and convert on third down.
From a player's perspective, Jets are 4-7.
Yeah.
It's awfully unlikely this team's going to make the postseason. We know what is realistic at this point. There are 6 games remaining in the regular season. Every season there is some kind of turn as far as the roster is concerned, but just individually from a team perspective, how do you kind of rally the collective troops at this point?
I think it's a tough thing because initially you're going to say you want everybody to just play because you're getting paid to play, right? Like, obviously when you go out there, you should be able to just do your job regardless because you're getting paid as much money as you're getting paid. But I think that is such an easy thing to kind of forget. I think it's really important to remember your purpose. I think that's one thing that I always tell young guys is to remember why you play this game. If it's money, then that's not going to help you last, right? It's got to be something bigger than you. So whatever it is, if it's for your family, if it's for all these different things, allow that to shine through and allow that to help you to play, because right now I know it's tough, right? You don't have that postseason to play for. You don't have that Super Bowl championship to play for. You're just playing to play, the love of the game, right? And so a lot of guys don't have that in them when it gets to this business side, but you need to do that, right? Because you need to save your future, and that's what's most important right now, your future. What is the future going to look like for you individually, and what's it going to look like for this team? And so, you got to go out there and put a better product out there.
hopefully better days are ahead for the New York Jets. We're thankful for Quincy Enunwa. We're thankful for everybody here at One Jets Drive who helps putting on this show every week, whether it's Pregame Central or Jets Overtime. And we're thankful for everybody at home, all you Jets fans. I know it's been a tough run of late, but we will be back here next week because if you know it's game day Q's going to be here, Anthony Beck's going to be back, and I'll be back as well. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much.